strangers, I'm back. I think it's been 5 months since I last uploaded anything. It was the beginning of September, and then life got crazy and I just haven't had time to film. If you are new here, I am Jess. I run a small business called Jess FX, where I make silicone prosthetics and moulds for makeup artists in the film and TV industry. And these vlogs are just a kind of behind the scenes look at my day-to-day work. A lot of time has passed, but I'm not sure a great deal has actually happened. I'll do a bit of a catch-up, I guess. When I left you, I think it was all tariff talk. The American tariffs had come in towards the end of August, I think, and everyone stopped selling to America at first, including me, while we worked out how to navigate it, if there was a way to collect tariffs. Fortunately, Royal Mail was very quick off the mark, so it was much easier in the UK. And as long as you could add that 10% on, or unless, of course, you wanted to absorb the cost yourself, which I didn't. But if you had a way to add the 10% on, you could continue shipping to America. And I can't remember where I was at when I last spoke to you, if I had it figured out. I know there was a few weeks where I couldn't ship to America at all, but then I found a way on Etsy to be able to add 10% to my shipping profiles, a very lengthy process because you had to do it individually for each price point. So for every individual item that was a different price, I had to set up a custom shipping profile so that it would collect the right amount. And then eventually my website, which is hosted by Squarespace, added something on so you could add that to American orders. So I can't remember when that was that I began shipping to America again. It was sometime during the Halloween chaos. I know the beginning of my Halloween season, I wasn't able to take orders from America, and suddenly I was, and that became crazy again. I mean, Halloween is always crazy regardless of who I can sell to, but Americans are some of my, well, they're probably the biggest group of customers over Halloween. Halloween was great, really busy as usual. I don't think I got hardly any downtime. I was just making pieces furiously, sending pieces out non-stop for a couple of months. But I mean, I'm kind of prepared for it these days. Not prepared as in I have much made up ready, because I'm too busy all year round to sort of collate much stock, but mentally I was prepared. I know the score. It's the best time of year income-wise, so I just got to throw myself into it. And yeah, that was great, really busy. And then when November hit, I normally take a week off, but I fell down the stairs and hurt my foot. So it was a bit, I think it probably ended up being 2 weeks, and it took me right up to the prosthetic event because I was still injured then. And that was fun as well. That was a good weekend, even though I was hobbling about. It's in a new location now, it's in London, which is obviously much easier for me being down this way rather than driving up to Coventry for a weekend, which is where it was the last few years. And this was the third time I'd been there with Pam. Pam is a makeup shop in London that they stock my products, and they obviously sell them at the prosthetic event, the perfect time. So I go along to kind of just stand, be with the products, talk to everyone about them, answer any questions, and it's a great time to catch up with all my colleagues or ex-colleagues, because I don't film anymore, so it's the only time I really get to see them. And it's also lovely to like meet a bunch of people that have bought my products before. I recognise the names, or people I've chatted to on Instagram, things like that. So lovely little community experience. The location was cool. It was much smaller, so it kind of limited the amount of exhibitors you could have and what they could do with their stand. But it looked like the sort of stage area where people were giving demonstrations and talks was really good. Afterwards, not so good. It's a busy venue that's open to the public and DJs, loud, loads of people. So it was a bit hard to catch up with people. But other than that, it was a great weekend. And I think it's there again this year. So that'll be nice. So after the prosthetic event, got back to work, had the shop reopened and continued on. It was still busy, but less busy in comparison to Halloween. And it was the lead up to Christmas. There's always a bit of a flurry before Christmas because I close for 2 weeks. So people get their orders in right up until when I close. And then I had 2 weeks off, and that was lovely. Got this camera that I'm filming on. If you've noticed, the quality is much better. Some of the clips will be mixed because I definitely have filmed things on my phone still, and probably will continue to just because it's easier carrying around than the camera. But at least for sit down or any actual sort of tutorial style videos that I do on my Patreon, this will be much better quality from now. Then New Year. I went away for New Year's. That was nice as well, to a little cottage in Dorset, I'm going to say. I always get Dorset and Devon mixed up. I think it's definitely Dorset. We went to a little place called Piddlehinton, which I definitely didn't choose because of the funny name. But yeah, we just took the dog away and wandered around the countryside for a few days. So that was good. But I really did not want to get back to work when I reopened the shop in January. Normally, I'm quite excited to get started again in the new year. But I don't know, this year I was just so cold. I hate the cold weather. I found it really hard to like be in the studio. It's much better now already, but it was just freezing. I have heaters in the studio and the garage, but it doesn't do enough for me. So I found it hard to get back into the swing. Fortunately, the first couple of weeks of being open were much slower, and that gave me the time to finish my tax return, which I always have to finish off in January because I'm not organised enough. So I got that done, and then things started to pick up and I couldn't avoid it anymore. I had to just get back into work properly, and now I'm fully back into the swing of things. I think late January, mid-January, all the wholesale orders started rolling in. So a few of the shops had a bunch of things they needed to restock. So that kept me very busy because it's a whole lot of extra things to make up whilst doing orders. And also the quantity of the wholesale orders means there's then going to be a lot of packaging up when they're ready to go out. This is one of the wholesale orders finished now, all laid out. So they've got a ton of different Bondo moulds, which I've put in their pairs, ready to put in their little pouches. This took me so long to trim everything. I think I spent a whole day trimming moulds and the prosthetics. So these are the prosthetics, various different kinds. Most of the shops order all in that skin tone of peach that you see here. But yes, that was a nice big order to start the year. What else have I got to tell you? Oh yes, last year before Halloween, my good friend and colleague Stuart Bray, who, if you're in the industry, you probably know his name because he's amazing. He was actually the first person to ever teach me prosthetics way back when. Before I went to makeup school, I did the prosthetic course at the makeup school that I was going to go to. Before knowing I was going to go to makeup school, I just went to do the prosthetics, and Stuart taught that. And for a long time, he had a range of silicone moulds. So you could, not like my Bondo ones, which are, well, they're for Bondo, firstly. So they're much sort of shallower, subtle pieces. But he sold silicone moulds that you can make silicone pieces out of, or gelatin, or whatever you like. But they were sold, I think he sold them firstly, and then they may have been sold for a few other shops, but he kind of stopped doing that a long while ago. And he contacted me having a clear out and asked if I would like all of his moulds so that I could add the pieces to my own collection, which is like incredible. Obviously I was very honoured and jumped at the chance, so I went over to pick them up, and it was all his master moulds for those, so I could make my moulds. I'll show you clips of that because me and my partner laid them all out on the living room table to work out what we had and how many of each, and then I boxed them up separately and started running the pieces, running the moulds so I could run the pieces and add them to the store. And if you're familiar with my Instagram and new pieces and things like that, you may have seen them released at the time. I don't think Stuart expected me to get that going quite as quickly, but I was very aware it was the beginning of Halloween season, and a lot of his designs are perfect for Halloween. So I spent like 2 days making the molds from the master molds and then running pieces from them so I could get them straight on the website. So for the first time, well, not the first time ever, but the first time in large quantity, I was uploading pieces to my sites that hadn't been applied. In the past, I've always liked to apply pieces so people have an example of what they look like on, but I decided it was better to just get them up. Some I now have pictures of. I've had someone in Switzerland trying out a bunch of my pieces and sending me photos and videos of them, which has been amazing because her work is so beautiful. You can see that on my Instagram, and if I find a way, I'll try and put some clips in here over my face. But yes, I need to slowly take some time this year to apply more things so I can update the photos on the website. But I'll show you the master molds. This is the box of master molds that lives in my studio, and then there's the same box of them in the workshop. So like I said, he gave me 2 of each, and I actually only really need 1 of each unless the molds start to break, because I can make molds from these as many times as I like. So these are resin, and I would just pour silicone in, and that gives me the mold that I can then make the prosthetics from. So having 2 sets means I've got a backup of everything if something should happen, if it should start to wear away, or if I should break one somehow. But there's all sorts of cool things in here. That's a zombie bite. Got things like horns, gunshot wounds. This is a sort of zombie eye socket, and there's obviously the other side, slit throats. There's most things I think I added to the website already, but there were a couple I never got around to, so I might be able to add those this year. I have to go back over and see what they are. But yeah, as you can see, quite a big box of things. This is very heavy. Other than that, it's business as usual, I think. I've actually had a bit of a tidy up in here, which you can't really tell. Behind me, that the table is not piled high full of nonsense anymore. To my left is like a graveyard of boxes, but an organised graveyard because they have to go somewhere. That's the wrong term, isn't it? Graveyard suggests that they're not being used. It's my shipping boxes, and I need them near me at my desk so I can pack, but it's a lot of space they take up. I will show you them as well. I'd love to get a whole bunch of new pieces out this year. I'm still finding it hard to find the time to do anything, hence why you've had no videos either. obviously full circle now. We're having more tariff nonsense. The tariffs that we did have applied were ruled illegal by the Supreme Court, so they're essentially scrapped. But then Trump immediately announced new 10% tariffs, which kind of replaces them. And he has also since said he's going to raise them to 15%. I think this type of tariff he's allowed to do legally, but only for 150 days. And the 15% hasn't actually been passed into government in any way. So currently it's still 10%, but it does mean, my poor American friends, that it may go up to 15% if that does go through. After 150 days, who knows what will happen. If there's a way for them to keep tariffs, it's actually kind of easy because it's already set up on Royal Mail and they can just keep collecting the same amount. Because the de minimis exemption was scrapped last year, and that was the limit where you could send anything into America under $800 duties free. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but people didn't have to pay any sort of import duty or tax or anything to receive most things as long as they were under $800. That's gone now. So regardless of what happens, there's going to be a price for Americans to pay to order from overseas. So even if after 150 days the tariffs are scrapped, it will then turn out to be the product tariffs. It's tricky when everything's called tariff, but there'll be a different price for every type of thing that is sent in. I can't remember what the rate is for my prosthetics, but it could be less than 10%, it could be more. But it will be, like with everything, will be a different price. And that will be quite a huge thing for Royal Mail to implement. So, because there's thousands and thousands of different product tariff codes. So they'd have to set up their systems to be able to collect the right amount depending on what code you've put in. And that may mean that, I guess, we won't be able to ship for America while that's being put in place. But I'm guessing. I can only go with what's happening at the moment, and that is that it's still all 10%. Royal Mail's charging me 10% to send anything to you guys, so that is what I charge on top of shipping, or as part of the shipping. I can't believe it's nearly the end of February already. Next month I turn 40. That's wild. I don't feel like I've lived through 40 years yet, but maybe I shall do a little discount code for my birthday. I normally do on my birthday. I think a 10% discount code because my birthday's on the 10th of March. But as I'm turning 40, maybe I'll do a crazy one day 40% off sale, which is kind of scary. But one day, we'll see. I'm sure I'll update you about that as I figure it out. So yeah, this is my biggest order I've had for one production. It's going out for a film, which hopefully I can tell you about in the future. So these are a bunch of entry wounds, some medium wounds and exit wounds at the bottom there. We've got the small laceration duos. These are all blunt force trauma wounds, and then there's some gory slashes, and the ones on the left have like a flap of skin hanging down. Most of these are mauling wounds and a couple of close entry wounds, like contact entry wounds. Large lacerations, there's 4 sets of these. These 2 are large gory exit wound 1, and these ones are some large contact gunshot wounds. Again, we've got the large lacerations, but this is the large ragged wound, and these are the multi-stabs. And we have the same again on this one. Here is the large exit wound, and these are just laceration wounds. I have 3 different types, I think, so those are 2 of them. These 4 are the multi-slashes. Zombie necks, there are 4 of them and a long slash, so this is the same again. And then they just had a bunch of Bondo molds, most of which they had 2 of. So mixed wounds, individual slashes 2 and individual slashes 1. There's a couple of stab wounds sets. Entry wounds, I think they had entry wound 2 and entry wound 3. And then these are the continuity nick wounds, so you get like a little nick, a sutured wound and a scar version, 1 of the suture wounds and 2 gory slashes. Well, thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, please give it a thumbs up if you care to. Subscribe if you're not already. And I will hopefully be back much sooner than 5 months this time. Goodbye.